G-Spot Chronicles contains adult content and adult language. So please remove all children from the room. And if you are not in a private setting, meaning if your ass is at work or at church or around some people you don't want to know that you on some freaky shit, please wear headphones. Welcome to the G-Spot Chronicles. On this podcast, we focus on alternative relationship styles, kinks, fetishes, as they relate to the black community and all people of color. So sit back and enjoy the show.
And welcome to the G-Spot Chronicles. Today, little Tiff is in the house.
Hello.
We got Shay. Tipton brought her friend. What name are we going with?
I'm going to go by Penelope today.
Okay, we're gonna call her Penelope. So on this show, we're going to get into this article about the actual physical G-spot. So Tip's going to read this article and then we're going to kick it off.
All right, so the title of this is Why Don't I Have a G-Spot Orgasm During Sex? And it starts with a quote from somebody who sent this via messenger to the author. He said, "What toy will give me a G-spot orgasm? I've never had one and it makes me feel like I'm broken."
Wait, hold on. I didn't read the article. You read the article. Is this a dude's G-spot we're talking about?
No.
Because he just said he. You said he.
Oh, did I say he? He sent in? Oh, no, she.
Okay.
But
'Cause that's a totally different conversation.
you said this is not what I was looking for.
No, I mean, that's a valid one too, but I just wanted to make sure that we were more gender specific, so it's she.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so it says, "This question came to me via messenger from a dear friend, and the second I saw it, my heart exploded into 1,000 tiny sad shards. I would have bet my most expensive vibrator that this G-spot toy question wasn't actually a G-spot toy question. Quick cue, I asked, what inspired this? I've been with 3 men who have questioned why I don't orgasm from my G-spot," she replied. And there it is, folks. Now Charlie is always down to clown, jerking off by hand a few times a week with gusto, but she wasn't asking me this question out of joyful sexual exploration. My hunch was correct. She was asking because she feels inadequate that she doesn't come from useless Tinder hookups, jackhammering away at that puss. Without using my hand or vibrator, I never come from sex alone. That doesn't mean I don't enjoy sex. I love it. It just never ends with that earth-shattering orgasm everyone yaps about," she told me. "It makes me feel really shitty and inadequate. Like once I had a guy call my orgasm anticlimactic. There's so much more to sex. Sex is more than penetration. What about some oral, touching, more penetration, a little more oral? It's so fucking simple." The caps lock is justified, friends. This state of affairs is infuriating, especially because these feelings of inadequacy are so common. Charlie is definitely not the only woman who feels like a freak because she struggles to come during intercourse. Now, where do we get the incorrect idea that intercourse orgasms generally come from the G-spot? How did these two things get entwined in our minds? It's almost a question of location. The bottom line is that the G-spot is located in the vagina, says University of Florida professor and sex therapist Dr. Lori Mintz, author of the must-read Becoming Clitorate, Why Orgasm Equality Matters and How to Get It. It all comes down to our cultural overvaluing of male sexual pleasure. That's what privilege is. Well, if it works for me, it should work for everybody else. This is why the assumption is that the way men most reliably reach orgasm through penetration should be the default way that both women and men should reach orgasm. That's why we don't learn about the women's pleasure, and we don't hear about the clitoris. We only hear about the intercourse-based orgasms. Think about how you finish when you're by yourself. Is the G-spot involved? Probably not. Movies are also generally the worst. As a beady-eyed pervert, I love a good sex scene, but they are just like my beloved bourbon and poutine, not great for you. They almost exclusively show the man throwing it in and the women having an immediate screaming orgasm. Like, no, bud, that's not how it works. As Charlie put it, every sex scene you watch is a girl having a G spot orgasm at the same time as the man. Men are notoriously selfish with sex because they were raised watching the shit that created this nightmare. Then there are the women's magazine stories that dedicate page after page to 69 positions to get the big O. It is only recently that publications have started increasing the amount of non penetrative, clitoris based vibrator forward sex advice that is, actually helpful. This, ladies, listen to Mints and set your minds at ease. The vast majority of women don't orgasm that way. I repeat, most gals do not come from intercourse penetration or G-spot stimulation alone. Think about how you finish when you're by yourself. Is the G-spot involved? Probably not. According to Mints, the percentage of women who masturbate solely by putting something in their vagina is less than 5%. The rest stimulate their external clitoris either alone or coupled with penetration. Yet with men, they expect, oh, I'll just get off from penetration. So what's the key to coming during intercourse? However you get off by yourself, that's how you need to get off with your partner, says Mintz. And generally, that means calling the clitoris off the bench and into the game. Do you use a vibrator? Ask him to use it on you during sex. Are you a by hand kind of girl? Have him do the reach around during doggy style. You can also take care of business yourself. Stick a hand down there whether he's on top or you're riding that D. If you're determined to couple those clit orgasm with G-spot feels, get that vibe or hand going down in a G-spot friendly position like girl on top or a lower doggy style. We may be suffering an orgasm equality crisis, but here's the good news. The power to change it is in your hands, literally. P.S. Once you've got coming during sex handled and want to try out a G-spot toy, I highly recommend... Do you guys care to hear the recommendation?
Yeah, you can read it.
I highly recommend the We Vibe Nova. It gives you internal and external vibes and comes with an app so you can program in your favorite patterns or turn it over to a partner to control.
So,
End scene.
I shouldn't really start this conversation off. I don't have a vagina. You know what I mean?
Thank God.
Um,
Just kidding.
I've been accused of. Did you ever have a vagina? A few times in my life, but I don't have one. I've never had one.
Okay.
What? You look like when I said
Because
accused
that-
of having.
Wow, that would have never crossed my mind to ask anything like that. I
Well, no.
just don't see why. Was they being cynical or silly or
No,
something?
I don't think a lot of women have had a man touch them in a manner in the way that I touch a woman. And
Okay.
I've had a lot of conversations with partners who have asked me like, well, how do you know this or that? You know what I mean? Like, especially maybe the last 10 years, the trans shit became big, and I've had a couple women go, like, was you a chick? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But I just have dedicated a lot of time to the vagina.
Well, there's not many men who actually act like they want to please a woman. Not early on. Not early on. It's usually after so many relationships that they become aware that, oh, okay, they're aware that their partner ain't,
Yeah.
they're not doing that. So it's like something wakes up on the inside. Their awareness becomes active and say, oh, well, what is it that I need to
I
do?
can tell you exactly what that is. For one, men really aren't worried about a woman's orgasm because women are conditioned to just lie a whole fucking lot about how disconnected they are from sex. As a boy, when you're growing up and you're hitting puberty and shit, like I could say honestly, from like maybe age 10 to like your mid 30s, women hold this sex is for you, love is for me. Sex is not like the reaction that women always give when it comes down to sex. Even like if you go through P.O.F, you just see so much anti-sex stuff.
What's
it's
P.O.F?
Like we're wrong. Plenty of Fish is a dating app, or Tinder, or any of that, right?
Okay.
By the time men find out, oh, women actually get horny too, and things like that, like they're fucking grown. You know what I mean? The only reason why I had any type of different education is, you know, I pimped for a long time and I was an escort for a long time. So having to learn things, I just had a different trajectory on that.
And a different path.
Yeah.
You were on a different path.
Even trying to explain to a dude how a vagina works, even explaining to women what the whole entire clitoris looks like, I'm always baffled at how little people know about their genitals, and this whole fucking planet revolves around sex, and people are just
well, see, that's where religion comes into play, because for me, I came up in a very religious house. My mom was a born-again Christian from the age of 12, okay? So we had the talk, of course, the birds and bees talk. She didn't say nothing about, anyway. We had the talk. But orgasms and stuff was never discussed. That was never discussed. What was more discussed is behavior.
Yeah.
He'll do this. He'll want to see this. Men usually ask you to shave because they want to see it. Different things like that. But not when I had my first orgasm, it felt like this. And this is what he was doing. Because I think that becomes too explicit, especially between mother and child.
Yeah, it's
I think
hard.
that may be very explicit.
You're a parent. Do you remember how uncomfortable it was to talk to your child about sex? Like, I went through that shit not too long ago with my 12-year-old. He's a boy, I'm a dude, and it was massively uncomfortable.
Well, you know what? I have had my nieces when they were young, to ask me sexual questions. And I would always put the answer to them in a palatable manner. If they were 9, then I would answer them with a 9-year-old answer, something that was appropriate. You understand what I'm saying? I never talked over their head. I never went too deep. I just made sure to answer the question, what was asked, period, point blank. But later, as my, my children grew up and stuff, this never happened. This conversation I'm having right now never happened with my son. But with my girls, I was just forthright. If they asked a question, I would answer it. And that's the way you handle that. You just answer it, But like I said, getting back to what I was saying about religion will keep you stoic. It'll keep you rigid. Even though they have all these different scriptures, like the bed is pure and undefiled, and different scriptures and stuff like that. But they more tell you this is taboo. Oral sex is taboo. Toys taboo, and other different things like that. So it really shuts you down to different avenues of pleasure that you can actually incorporate if your mind was free.
You guys ever watch Big Mouth?
No, I've never watched.
I've heard of it.
It's an animated cartoon.
I've seen it. I
watched my first episode the other day. I didn't know what it was, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, I'm 20 minutes in, and it's just all talking about sex, and I'm like, and then that's when I got all these little creatures that are next to them are their hormones. It took me a minute to get that right.
That's what that gargoyle.
Yeah.
Is.
That's
Okay.
their hormones. But
Okay.
the episode that I watched, which was episode 1, the group of boys, they learned that women get horny. One of the boys' older sister, was like, girls think about sex too, and girls get horny too. And then, his head blew up. And as the next day he's at school and he's talking to his friends, and he clicks in there. What do you? It's impossible for a woman to think about sex as much as I do. And when it clicks in them, then they're all their fucking heads explode too. And I just died laughing, not just because I was high, but the fact that I remember that first time realizing, oh, you want to get fucked. Like, you get horny. Like, I'm not alone in that feeling, because boys do go through this period of time where you just feel disgusting, you feel creepy, you feel perverted, you feel like you're walking around with this urge that is really unnatural and it's just you. You know what I'm saying? And then there's some kind of comfort if you have like a dad or an older brother or something that kind of peeps you out and go, yo, take these books. Or something like that. We all kind of went through that time where like another man will clue you into, okay, this is a us thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's usually the passing down of the playboy or hustler or centerfold or whatever. Then you kind of go, oh, I'm not alone. But that concept of women getting horny, that I don't think a lot of men, and two, it is very hard for men to accept things about women that they can't accept about their mama. I don't know what it is. It's very connected. In
Very
the
much
fact
so.
of, and that shit was in the goddamn commercial. I mean, the cartoon. The boy was like, wait a minute. My mama's a girl too. Wait a minute. You saying my mama? Because he walked in to see his parents like fucking and shit. And for me, like, I think I was like 14. Okay, so when I was 14, I had 4 girls working for me, right? And one of the nights that we had all kind of pulled up and we were at the hotel room, well, it was really early morning that we were done working. One of my girls said something about, I don't think I could bust another nut. For me, that was that first, what? Bust a nut? The fuck is you talking about? That's when I learned, oh, you come from this shit too. So I learned, okay, women get horny a little earlier, but at that moment, that's when I had learned, oh, there is a climax in the end for women as well. And then, like that whole next day, I just talked to my girls like, explain this shit to me. Explain this, explain that. And that kind of removed some of my power in the situation.
How do you mean?
I mean, like, when you're a pimp, there's a strong power dynamic. And then me having to go to my girls, explain to me how coochie work.
Oh, I get it.
They were
Okay.
like, what?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know what I mean? It just was,
Okay.
it really played my age. Because these girls like 16, 17, I'm 14, I'm just turning 14. So it really just played my age and kind of fucked shit off. But I had to know. And then I didn't really start understanding until my homeboy put me on and I started escorting. And I had my first client. And she gave me such a bad review. I thought I had killed it. I thought I had just, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, maybe 15, 16 at this time. You know what I mean? And she was an older woman. She had to be like in her 40s and shit. And he was upset with me. He was like, yo, I shot you this client. And like, she doesn't even want to see me anymore because of what the fuck you did. Like, he didn't talk to me for months. I kept like calling him like, yo, what did she say? What did I do? When he finally kind of talked to me, I'm like, yo, man, what the fuck do you do? Like, what is it that I'm not doing, that I'm not seeing? And I must have spent, I guess you would say, a year apprenticeshiping under him, because he taught me about toys, he taught me about bondage, he taught me about all kind of shit.
Well, at least you had enough curiosity to care, even if it was one-sided, because a lot of guys will downplay. A lot of guys know that they not kicking up dust under the sheets. They know that.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
Yo, I'm telling you, men are very delusional when it comes to that shit. You can tell them it was cool, I didn't come, but I enjoyed it, and they'll still be like, oh yeah, I fucked that shit up, I beat that shit up. I'm telling you, like, dudes is, and I'm giving you this information as a man, having hundreds and hundreds of thousands of like male conversations. The shit you hear, even when I was a teenager, I didn't understand a lot of those conversations then. I'll give you a prime example. 9th grade. My homeboy, he bagged this chick he been trying to fuck all year. The next day, it was all over the school. He told everybody. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you don't want to do it again? Like, why are you saying something? It just automatically registered in my mind, if you want a return invite, you should shut up. But I realized that he was talking for everybody else. Like, it was this trying to impress thing that he was doing. There was quite a bit of my friends that believed I was a virgin until I was like 18.
Because you know how to keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, like, first of all, I didn't tell. Like, at school, nobody knew I was pimping. Nobody knew I was escorting. Nobody knew none of that shit. And when dudes was talking, you know, we'd be in the locker room, we'd be at the field, we'd be under the little bridge smoking weed, and they be talking about women and shit. I just, man, I don't know, man.
Now, see, that part, I knew that happened between men. Them talking back and forth about, man, she do it like this, she do it like that, so. You know, I knew that. I knew that on the inside.
Yeah,
I already
a lot
knew
of that
that.
shit be bullshit. A lot of that shit they say, and that's another miseducation. Men lie so much to other men
To make
about
themselves
us.
look good.
Not just that, it's just you don't fucking know. You don't want to appear as if you don't know. So you are making up things that you think you've seen in a porno or you think you've seen in a movie, and you're kind of constructing some type of fact around that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And men they just, you know, I've had to explain to grown men, yo, it's different levels to a woman's orgasm. Busting his nut is not the same as an orgasm, which is not the fucking same as a multiple orgasm. Like, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. And you're retarded. No, I'm telling you. Like, even sometimes when you try to give men information, they reject it out of pride of not knowing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I've told dudes, you can do more to a woman with your finger than you ever can do with your dick.
Well,
A dick is shaped to impregnate. It's not really shaped to please. It's not shaped to really hit.
I gotta disagree with that.
It's not shaped to impregnate?
No, it's not shaped to pleasure. That's what I heard. That's not your words, but that's what I heard.
It's okay. So like, the physical position you gotta take, because the actual G spot is only about 2 inches into the vaginal canal, right? Either you're fucking a man with a 2-inch dick who can hit that, or the physical position that a man with like an average sized penis has to be in to be able to hit within. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, rub the sensor, drive over the sensor.
A dick can't do this.
No.
Because this on the G spot is not really what.
See,
But a dick can't do this.
see, but what you're not thinking, that's absolutely
It's going
true.
like
It can't bend like fingers can. But what you're also not thinking about, okay, there are all kind of nerve endings and sensors in those vaginal walls. every woman has her vagina is shaped in a specific way that is unique to her. Okay. Some women can take really wide but short, and some can take the magic markers, some can take the pencils and be able to climax off of it. But if you have someone who has a vagina that's suited for a magic marker and they have a crayon, she's gonna be laying there.
I don't know, man.
I do.
No.
I do.
I would
I'm
be-
talking from
but hold on.
experience
No, I
right
get that,
now.
right? I
Yeah.
get that. This
Yeah.
is what I'm saying, right? So for a man who is smaller, right? Most men don't learn how to compensate for a smaller size, right?
Okay.
So I'm not saying that a penis in a vagina isn't pleasurable. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there are certain things that you can do to a vagina with your finger, you just can't do what you did.
Right.
But also, regardless to how wide or deep a woman's shape is, if you know enough, you can compensate for not filling it all the way
If you
up.
know enough.
Because,
I agree.
and I've said this
Yeah.
on the podcast before, like one of my son's mom, the very first time we laid down and she touched my dick, her exact words were, "Nigga, what you think you gonna do with that?" Right?
Okay.
But I knew I wasn't. I got brothers and shit. I knew, oh, I'm not hanging like that. I learned a lot.
Early on.
So when she was like, "Oh, nigga, what you think?" I said, "Give me 5 minutes. If you ain't cool in 5 minutes, I'll stop. I'll get the fuck up out of here. I'll never talk to you again." She was with me for 6 years.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
There are guys that I talk to who are in small pockets, and I try to really tell them that's not the end all be all. Because a lot of men get resigned to, "I'll never be able to please a woman. I'm just," and they give up. The learning process stops, the effort, the want, the drive stops, and it's also what do you call it? A polar opposite to that. You have very large dudes that they stop learning too, because they feel, "I got it. That's it.
Wow.
Like I'm 10. I'm 12 inches deep. I'm good." Because to them, when they look, they are looking at this pain as what it is. They are looking at this discomfort and pain as them doing their job, and they're good with that.
Well, see, that comes from the influence of pornos too.
No, that's women. Women.
No, I'm
women.
talking about with the men.
No. If you
That
ask
is true.
every man will tell you. I've heard women say more about big dicks than the only time a man ever hears, "Oh, size doesn't really matter," is when you are small.
But don't you think that
Because we know that's just the shit you say to a small man to placate him until you figure out if he can do something, because you don't want to hurt his feelings. Once you know he can't do nothing and you're not really invested into the relationship, that's when, man, if you don't get out of here with your little dick ass motherfucker, get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? But we know women say certain shit until they figure out what the fuck they're gonna do. Because they don't want to start out being like, "Oh, your dick is just too little to please me," because that's the end. You don't see if there's anything other than that. Women are smarter than that. Well, let me see what he can do with that first. It's not the size doesn't matter. It's okay.
It's the
about
ocean in
feeling
the
it.
ocean.
Yeah, all that type of shit. No man hears that shit and goes, "Oh, for real?" Like,
you think this should be taught in schools? Because I'm in college right now and I'm taking a human sexuality class, and we just went over the anatomy of the vagina, the anatomy of the penis. He talked about where the clitoris is, how the clitoris extends into the body. He talked about the G-spot, and he was like, "Yeah, don't forget about that when you have sex," and all this stuff. And it was like, everybody was comfortable. It was a cool vibe, and it wasn't really like any discomfort or like just like they don't want to hear it,
Being
you know.
embarrassed and
yeah,
all
it
of
was
that.
like a really safe space, and I felt like this should have been taught.
You
At,
could not teach that shit to high school
No,
kids.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, it's just that, like, in high school, like, I mean,
but in high school, I think there's still a problem with what they teach in high school. Because
Yeah.
I remember, and we went to the same high school, so I'm sure you remember, we
Yeah.
only got taught about abstinence.
yes.
Like you want to save yourself for your partner. Why would you want to have so many partners and then get married? And they made it seem like this really bad thing, and they never really, like, yeah, they talked about, oh, well, there's condoms and there's this and there's that, but it was just like, but abstinence is the best. And then that was the end of discussion, and there was really no anatomy, nothing like
Well,
they didn't.
abstinence is safer.
I
If
know,
you
but that's
think
kind of like
about
an
what you're saying
ignorant
to
point of view
kids-
about versus what they're actually doing, you know? Like if you know, man, like a lot of them are fucking like, and you're only teaching abstinence.
But do you know what it took me to not tell my sons that a vagina had teeth in it? Like because the consequence
Wait a minute.
of them fucking is so
Okay.
great of having children getting
Yeah.
AIDS, STDs. Like it took everything in me to just be honest and truthful with them instead of being like, yo, it's got teeth and it's gonna bite your dick off and don't touch it. You know what I mean? Like your mind tells you shit to say that's safe to keep them away from it, and it takes a lot to
No.
hold back from saying that shit and be open and honest.
No.
Because I really did want to go, hey, yo, it's got teeth in it.
Well, I mean, I feel like, for me personally, like, when I was taught about sex in high school, like, there was, like, a shame, like, there's, like, stigma of shame, like, for those who do have sex. Like, I remember my teacher saying, like, how would you feel if you told the love of your life, like, your body count? You know, and I felt like that was a way of shaming you for having sex. So I think it's important to educate those on how to have safe sex, but I don't think it's like encouraging you to have sex in general. It's more of just educating you, like if you do choose to have sex.
Yeah.
I think sexuality should be taught in school, but I
Yeah.
think it should be taught in an appropriate way. And
Yeah.
because kids are so diversified in their maturity, some may be able to hold on to it and carry it well, and other ones will just
Yeah.
you never know which
Yeah.
direction that they're going to run with it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because religion is so big in America that plays a really big part, you know, about whether or not sexuality is taught in school and classes. Because when I was in school, all they taught us about the female anatomy, but all they were really basic telling us about was about menstruation and pregnancy, and that was it.
Yeah, they don't teach like I said, the times I've had to explain to a woman the entirety of what a clitoris looks like. They don't teach all of that. They may teach you, the little button under the hood. They don't teach you what the whole entire clitoris looks like. They don't teach you any of the pleasure points. It's just anatomy.
Because they're more invested in trying to keep our women as women of high, what? Help me, ladies. You know, women.
Like morals or standards,
exactly,
I guess.
exactly.
Okay, there's 3 women here. Let me ask you this. Do you feel like men should not have any feeling towards the number of partners that you've had?
I think yes. I think as long as you're having safe sex, like the number of people you have sex with does not matter. Depending on how you treat those people, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I would say it doesn't matter because I don't think that knowledge alone like makes you a bad candidate. Like it's so much more than that. I feel like just having like a big number alone I feel like it doesn't define much. There's so many other factors that make you say, oh yeah, that person is this and this, not just based off the number, I would say.
You know,
What was
okay?
your question? Say it again.
Should a man,
got
do you
lost.
guys feel like a man should not care about what your number is? Like a man
Oh.
shouldn't have a problem with a woman having like a large body count.
Huh. I would say yes. You'd get a yes and no out of me with that, because there are some women who are that's their profession, you know. And like I said, I came up in a very religious household, so I still have some of those stigmas that's rolling around in my head, you know, that it can diminish your self-worth and worth and all of that. So
So this
it
is
would be helpful. It would be helpful when you're getting in a relationship, because as an adult, you're gonna have sex.
Mhm.
You're gonna have sex, and with time comes experience. You can improve and become better, learn more different stuff that you can learn with this one over here that you couldn't learn with this one, because that's a different individual from that one over here, but it still, puts more weapons in your armoire.
yeah.
So,
So this is.
but
a
overall,
three-part
I would
question.
say, yeah.
So the second part to this question is: does a man's body count bother you?
I think it's only bothered me knowing that they had a lot of experience with other women. Like if it's like a really high number, it makes me kind of like insecure myself if I can like match up to those experiences he's had. But I don't see it in like a negative way. I think it's more of just like the insecurities I have for myself.
You?
I would say no. It doesn't bother me. Kind of going off what Penelope said. I would, on the opposite spectrum, I would be kind of like skeptical at being with someone who's never had sex, because I don't feel like going out of my way to like, make them feel comfortable, like it's okay, and like teach. Like I don't want to teach. I just want to like, you should know this. Yeah.
Does it bother you?
No. Not at the age that I am.
Now,
But back in the day, it probably would have made me feel a little weird.
is there a number that would bother you? Because, like you said, if it's okay, what is a high number? Because this is a matter of perspective. What do you feel is a high number of partners for a man?
At my age,
And is it the same as a woman?
at that same age that I am now, like in
No,
comparison
no, I
to
mean
someone.
like between men and women. Do you feel like, okay, if this is a high number for men, it's also considered a high number for women, or do you feel like there's a different gauge?
I would say that I like initially, right off the bat, I want to say that yes, there is for men and women, just because of like what I've always grown up seeing. Like that's what I first want to jump to, but I feel like it really shouldn't. And I don't know, I mean we're all biased, but I might be biased in that because I know someone who I believe she's a woman and she's like a very good person, and I know for a fact she has a very high body count, and she's just such like a pure-hearted person. It just doesn't really like change like who she is anyways, but I feel like none of us are immune to like having that stereotype about people, whether we think it's a bad thing or not. I feel like we still kind of like, oh man, like 60 her, like people just inherently think things.
Do you feel like there's a number too high? Do you feel like it's equal between men and women?
I don't think there is a number too high, but I do think like there's a number that creates like a naturally like implicit attitude where you're like, oh whoa, like that's a high number. Like I think if a guy, like for me personally, if a guy was like 50, I would be like, that would like
At what age?
at my age, because like I've had a guy tell me that, and I'm like, and it just like it like naturally I have like a negative attitude towards that, but
Yeah.
it just makes me like ask more questions about his sexual history and past.
Yeah, I'm definitely got some stigmatism, so whatever about that because of the way of my upbringing.
Yeah.
Um, when you're more sexually reserved, you're seen as a good, clean girl. You
But
know,
is there a number that a guy can have?
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. See, if
Sheesh.
okay, while everyone else was giving their opinion, the number 100 just came into my head. If you have had 100 partners and you're 25, I'm gonna be like, what's up with you? But if you've had 100 in your 50s like me, I was like, I can see that because you factor in all the one night stands, went to the club, you forgot about this one. So, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, yeah.
Now, which one of you are honest with the men that you've been with on what your body count is?
Me,
You're honest?
yeah.
You're honest?
Yeah, I've always been honest about it.
No. I haven't, but it's partly because of like the shame you receive. And it's not even like
That's right.
I
Say
don't
that. Yeah.
I don't have a
Yeah.
high like comparatively my number isn't high in my opinion, but I know to guys you talk with or guys I've talked with, there's like this immediate shame they bring with it and this idea of me that I don't need them to have. I just want
Good
them
girl, bad girl.
Yeah, and I am not like the stereotypes and all that they associate with that. And I just want them to see me as me. And so that's why I give a lower number.
Okay, not only that, it's not always about the female shame. When you're with your partner, not the casual sexual person, but your person that you're with,
Yeah.
and you have this talk, and he gets jealous. The first thing we want to do is protect the relationship and protect the emotions, because men would have us think that they don't give a damn. Oh, I don't care who you would have done. You're lying. Because we just went in the store. I picked up some gum. I seen him, you saw him, you thought we was getting ready to say hi to each other, whatever. Now I got to deal with this attitude. You understand it? You understand?
Why do you think, and when I've had these discussions, it dawns on me that a lot of women don't necessarily put thought into why it's different when we hear your body count and you hear ours. For men, when you tell me your body count, I immediately, my brain automatically has visuals of each one. Because men are visual people, when you tell us things, we have an instant image. What was that movie that was it best friend's wedding or some shit?
With Tay Diggs
Homeboy
and
was
Morris Chestnut.
Yeah, he was
That's
saying,
man.
and he was like, that was one of the greatest scenes in a movie that I've ever seen that really visually explained what happens to a man when he's hearing shit. He kept, like, he was trying to like block the images out of his mind, and he couldn't, and they kept flashing to like the agony on his face and the image in his mind.
Yeah.
And that's something like that's very hard for a lot of men to deal with.
But see, women deal with that.
But how? Because the way that
We have
women
the same
tell
jealousy
me,
triggers.
like she was just saying, like, well, it plays more to my insecurity on can I don't think you actually have a porno reel in your head. You know what I'm saying?
I
Of
mean-
all of the actions.
For me, like, so, like, when a guy does tell me his body count, like, I do the same. Like, I visualize, like, him, like, fucking another, like, girl, you know? And I'm
Yeah,
just kind of like,
that's hard to get over.
and they're like, like,
Yeah,
20?
and see, the other thing that plays into that is you're investing yourself into something. This is not a casual relationship. This is not a casual relationship, and this is one reason why abstinence is preached, because like you said, it's better, it's safer, and all of that, all of those things take place in that. But if you consider yourself as a realist, you have to come toe to toe, reflection to the fact that this is a grown motherfucker. I'm a grown motherfucker. I wasn't no virgin, and you wasn't no virgin. So why even ask those type of questions? Because another area that comes into that is when a person puts the question on the table, most of the time they have a loaded answer already in their head.
Yeah.
And when you say what the answer is and it don't vibe with that, then here comes all this drama. Okay, well, you shouldn't have asked the question in the first place, because you have set not only yourself up to be victimized, but now you have victimized both of us. And now we're going to be walking around in this house tiptoeing on eggshells because you have an attitude about how many people I've been with. You knew I wasn't a virgin. And especially if my performance is well.
Yeah, see, those are
What?
heavy conflicts that guys have to. Yeah, I'm gonna say guys, right? I mean, for me, like, I ask a woman what her body count is, because I need to gauge what I can do and what I can't. And do I need to start off slow? You know what I mean? Like, if a woman is like, oh, I've been with like 3 people, you know, I had a 15-year relationship, I know that I can't go 100 in this situation.
Why?
I gotta do some basic shit, and then I gotta escalate it over time.
Okay.
If a woman tells me, oh, I didn't have like, you know, maybe 100, 150, I could probably go 75 right off the bat in what I'm doing. And
Okay, I want to
whatever
ask you a
kinks
question
and
in
all
that
of
area.
that type shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I've made the misstep of going 100 on somebody who really didn't have many sexual partners, and what that does psychologically.
Okay, so here's my question to you as a man. What number is it in your head that would make you say, oh, you a slut?
I didn't really grow up with that kind. Okay, so this is the thing. Because my dad was poly, and that's what I grew up in. Because I spent a lot
So
of
your
my
exposure was different.
childhood and teen years and shit like that in the sex industry, I didn't grow up with like the whole slut hoe thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But you was a pimp.
Yeah, but pimps don't look at women as sluts. And the term hoe to us is not the same as some teacher or your parent or somebody going, you're a hoe. When I go, oh, you a hoe. This is positive. This is a positive interaction.
Because you're coming up all
You know
of them.
what I mean? Like,
You're
but
going to get some greenbacks.
yeah, or just the fact that you're on my level. You understand? We see this shit the same. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a camaraderie thing. When I think back to being in the club and going, because I could watch a woman walk and go, oh, she a hoe for real. She a pro.
Wow.
I see her and I feel not the only one in this club. Somebody else here is on what I'm on. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So even if I step to her, I know how to step to her. I know what to say. I can't step to her like, oh, this chick at the bar who, you know, this is her one night out a week after work. I got to come at her way different. You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
So I didn't really grow up. For me, in my personal life, the number before the bottom fallout is too much for me.
Okay, when does the bottom fall out?
It's different for every woman. I know there's, especially in the black community, there is a whole bunch of myths of how you can make it snap back and keep it tight for your whole life. And I know men who constantly tell women, it's tight and it's right and it ain't because the head is bomb. That anal trip is good. So you'll tell her her pussy is whatever to keep playing. You know, it's just like you may not like the teacups in this amusement park, but all the other rides is fun. But if you tell them they teacups suck, they're not going to let you in. Men say a whole lot of untruths during sex to gain an advantage to keep things in play. I do know the bottom does fall out. And it's worse for women who are size queens. There's only so many years you're going to take 12 inches steadily before the tissue just doesn't go back.
Okay.
And you're
Wear and
stuck
tear,
there.
huh?
Like it's going to be stuck there. I feel like that's the only difference between men and women when it comes to numbers. A penis is a muscle. The more we fuck, the stronger it gets, the more it grows. And I watch that in myself. Like when I'm inactive and it's been months and I haven't had sex, like it shrinks. And as soon as I start fucking, like it grows, it gets stronger, the erection is harder. Like it's a muscle. And I've also been with women who.
But so is the vagina. The vagina is muscle too. That's why we can do
But
kegels.
I know, but it functions and grows. It maintains differently. Like I've been with women and go, oh, this is, and they know it because for the first beginning of sex, they're able to hold it. But once the coming starts, that motherfucker just like a blowfish, like a pufferfish.
Wow.
And you just fall in that motherfucker. And you go, oh shit, I've been duped. I've been duped. Because a lot of women ask, why, if the sex is so good and we're so passionate in this moment, is he trying to stick it in my ass? Well, he's just fell the fuck in, and he realizes I'm not gonna come in this cavern. So he goes to higher pasture for something smaller.
Okay, I'm not going to ask that question. I ain't going to ask that one.
Somebody listening may need to hear that. Is it a booty question?
No, it's not a booty question, but it's directed like a situation at like R. Kelly, because it's like more and it seems like more and more men are going younger.
We both are.
I think you could say the same thing for older women
We both
because
do.
I've seen it.
Because a 50, 55-year-old woman
Hello.
is more apt to be with a younger guy because a 55-year-old man just doesn't have the same stamina. And at 55
What about Idris
or
Elba?
50, most men at that time are so locked in to their pride and what they think they know and how they have sex. A lot of women that age know, I don't have time to be fucking around with your male ego. Where this young buck, I can tell him, yo, step it up, yo, go deeper, yo, this, that, and the other. And they're like little puppies. When you hang in a tree, they're more apt to listen to what you're saying and take direction. The only difference is a stigma. It is a larger stigma when you see older men with younger women than when you see an older woman with a younger man. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's more prevalent visually, like you see older dudes in movies and all that shit with younger women, everybody still has that pervert thought in their mind when they see it. But because it's a man, because it's a male-ran society, you have that you're a pervert thought, but nobody acts against it. It's like Woody Allen. You were accused of molesting your adopted daughter.
And then
Nobody
he
did
married
shit
her.
when you married
Oh
her.
my
Then he
God.
married her.
Everybody thought in their mind, you're a fucking pervert. Nobody did it. Just the same shit with R. Kelly.
And they're
No.
still married.
I'm 40 years old.
I don't get it.
I knew R. Kelly was peeing on little girls, 15, 20 years ago. You know you're a fucking pervert, but nobody does anything. But when you see an older woman with a younger man, there's conflicted feelings. Like as a man, when I see it, I kind of go, okay.
Well, see, you know what? In my head, in my head, it's equal.
Yeah.
It's equal. okay? Because if a man could be a child molester, a woman could be a child molester.
No, that's real.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's not
So
what I'm saying.
that's
We're talking 18 and up. We're not talking
Okay.
below. I'm talking about like when you
Okay.
see the whole cougar
Help
thing,
me out.
right?
Okay,
When
yeah.
you see like a 50-year-old woman and like a 25-year-old dude, when I see it, I go, oh, yeah. She weighing his ass out. He think he can handle that shit. But she in menopause, she in her sexual prime, she weighing that young nigga out. When I see a 50-year-old guy with a younger woman, it fucks with me. And I've dated younger women, and it fucks with me a little bit.
why? Is that father figure in there?
So I'm a daddy dom. I've been a daddy dom since I was like 17. That's kind of like my B.D.S.M thing. So I've always been a father figure in any relationship that I'm in. But when I've dated younger women, I think it fucks with me more of, I know I'm more experienced. I know I have more life experience. I'm more worried about fucking up their perception of relationships. I'm more worried about wasting their time. I'm more worried about the end result for them. You know what I mean? And that fucks with me, and that does give me moral conflict.
I'm kind of tangled because evidently my processing is different. There are cases where age can be just a number,
Yeah, true that.
but there are cases where it's like, get somewhere and sit down with that because the gap is too wide. What was her name? The one who, the actress who looked like Marilyn Monroe, and she was married to an old
That
guy.
was money,
Oh,
though.
yes.
She a real hoe.
Yes.
She a real hoe.
I
That's
remember
That's
that.
Nicole Smith.
Anna Nicole.
That's my bitch.
Yes.
She a
Anna
real hoe.
Nicole.
She got up in there and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this."
But see, but both look,
She
both
was.
of them knew what the hell they were doing. That old
Oh,
man
yeah,
knew
you-
what he was doing.
I think it's different too when
Wait,
one of
wait,
them is
hold on.
out of the 20s. So he was like 80, she was like 32.
He knew
You know what I mean?
that.
But no, what I'm saying is it'd have been different if like he was 80 and she was like 22. I think once you're out of your 20s, people stop looking at the age gap as much. Like if you're 31 and you fucking with somebody 90, people may go, "Really? You eating that wrinkle box or you sucking them wrinkle balls?" But it's not the same moral conjury of being
Yeah,
took
because-
advantage
well,
of. Or
But she looks so
manipulated.
youthful and like, and like stark contrast to him because I
Yeah.
clearly remember this
Yeah,
photo of
picture.
him in a wheelchair.
In a
And
diaper.
He looked like he was.
He looked like he
near
was wearing a
death.
diaper.
Like
Yes,
he
yeah.
might have already been dead in that photo.
But you know, men will choose a younger woman specifically for that reason because they know that they will bring youth back into their life. They'll bring vitality back into their life.
Yeah.
One of my old pastors, when his wife passed away, he opted to get a younger wife. Now, this man was a father figure to me. Understand me? But when he got a wife, she was in our same age bracket. Same age bracket.
man.
Hallelujah. Understand me?
And then too, I
But
see,
he chose that because he knew what the vitality that she would bring to him and help him feel more vibrant and hey, you know,
I really
bring
think
that
it's
bravado
different,
back.
right? Because I know that there are guys who they are specifically into younger women,
Why?
right? And then there are guys who the shit happens. Like the times I've been
Okay.
in relationships with younger women, it's not that I'm into younger women. You know what I mean?
It was the attraction.
It's that, oh, I met this person. And there is my relationship now, there was a time period of, man, don't even look at that girl, man. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, there was, like, a time period of, oh, you're tripping. Like, but who that person was, and then the connection I had with that person kind of made me go, fuck it, it's gonna happen.
You know, if your motive has a lot to do with whether something is, for me, Something's going to be clean or unclean.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Okay.
what I mean. There are two different
Yeah.
men. There are men who they specifically
Predators.
Yeah. Well,
And that's what I was bringing up really about R. Kelly. Okay, because one thing that really made me mad about the R. Kelly thing is that, especially these parents, is, yeah, he been fucking my child since she was 14. You knew she was a minor when she took her ass down there.
and I ain't never heard
You
none
knew
of
what
the
she
parents
was doing.
say he took their virginity. Like, you knew
Hello?
your daughter was fucking.
Hello?
Why would you?
That's my
And I know
point.
this too. Like,
That's my point.
my oldest son, 23, right? I know what it is to be a parent, know your son is fucking, and look at situations that he may be in to go, oh, no. Like, my oldest son, yeah, nigga, you're not going to summer camp. That's over for you. You fucking. I'm not doing that.
Okay.
We're not finna get no letters in the mail in a couple months. I'm pregnant. That time on the lake. No, we're not. Summer camp is over. Go get a
But
fucking
see,
job.
this goes back to the, how do I say that? How we are raising our children, our male and female youngsters, with the consciousness that we're putting inside of them. We're still telling boys, oh, boys will be boys. Go ahead and go out and they expect you to, and we make that girl, you go in there and wash them dishes and go over here clean this or go over here, do different things. I know I'm speaking from the 50s. I don't know if you guys still, I don't think that's still a concept now because there's more, you guys have more freedom
Man,
now.
these women
But
can't
we
wash
still,
dishes. They can't cook. Young women nowadays, they are functionally illiterate in a goddamn household.
that's sad.
Like, you may catch one who could cook.
Yeah,
Like, she couldn't really do a whole house.
yeah.
That is rare.
But
And
see,
that usually comes from having a parent who is really old school, who's raised really old school.
Which
But
was-
most of 'em,
I
no,
would say
they
that's
can
a
order
lot.
Postmates.
I would say that in the kids whose parents came to America and they're our first generation kids in America, I feel like that's still very true though, just from like Europe
Oh,
and
yeah, that
like
immigrant shit
and
is different.
all the Asian countries in the Middle East to like all the kids who are first gen here. It's so strict still, and there's still those rules. It's just like the
That
rules
don't
are
go
still
away
there.
until about the third generation. Because when I look at my family, all four of my grandparents is immigrants. And first of all, immigrants really try to disconnect you from here.
Yeah,
That
don't become
we're not-
Americanized.
We're not
Don't
from
become
here.
Americanized.
Don't fucking think you're not fucking American. Right? Like, my grandparents were very much in it. We're just here right now.
Just to live here.
You know what I'm saying?
We just stay here.
We're not of this, we're not from here.
Yeah.
So, like, my parents, like, their attitudes and how that trickled down on me, even now, like, I'm second generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel the same connection to this country like other people who are born and raised here, right? I still say shit like, oh, yeah, home, like, when we go home to Cuba and visit family, I don't. It's different.
Well, see,
It's
you
a
have a
funny
different
fucking
point of
thing.
reference.
Yeah.
You have a completely different point of reference. But okay, let me say this. I raised my girls and my son the same way. I told my son specifically, go wash those dishes, because there is no guarantee that when you hook up with some woman or some young lady or female that she's going to be able to do that. And what if that never happens? You need to know how to clean up your own house. So I didn't raise him with the gender specificity,
I know what
that
you
my mom raised me and my sister. She raised us. You keep this house spotless clean. When my brothers, they laid all over the place and she raised them up to do chores and stuff around the house. not the same way she instilled it in us.
Yeah, man choice. You take out the trash, you cut the lawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Chop down that fucking tree.
Yeah, yeah.
Take that. Go get
Yeah.
that raccoon out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
But see, even even in our religious life at church, we did just have some type of discussion of sexuality, but it was always according to the good book.
See,
And there were questions that were frowned upon, and you look at it like, what you doing asking them kind of
was it
questions?
like Baptist or something that you grew up in?
I grew up in Church of God.
Church.
Yeah, that's the denomination that I grew up
The
in.
funny thing is, I grew up Roman Catholic. I went to private Catholic school. Even though they give you like this fire and brimstone, this guilt and shame, nobody fucks like Catholics. Because
And how is
like,
that?
Catholic girls will
Who got a
suck
pen
you-
and pencil? I want to write this down.
No, I'm serious. Like junior high, Catholic girls will let you fuck them in the ass and they'll suck your dick, and it was all good because they were still virgins. You know what I'm saying? And that
Okay.
was very much a prominent thing, especially
Wow.
at Catholic school. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
That's what for a while, it was this thing with these little rubber wristbands, and each color meant what you did. You know, what
Really?
activity you participated in. But as long as you got to, I remember we beat up this dude. At the time, we didn't consider that we beat him up because he raped her, because none of that was said. But she told one of my friend's girlfriends that when they were doing it, he took it out her butt and he forced it in her vagina, right? And I remember we all had this sense of he fucked up her virginity. And like when we beat him up, that was the mind state. Like, you fucked her virginity up. You should have just
You
stayed
soiled
where the
her.
fuck you were. Like,
You soiled
you was
her.
in there. What the fuck are you doing? Later on, you go, oh, wait a minute. No, he fucking raped her. We should have beat him up because he raped her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the fact that the virginity was such a big deal.
Sacred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of
Yeah.
Catholics are maybe until recently, we're still real big on that whole.
And see, that's
Virgin until marriage.
that's something that we didn't really, bring up is the sacred, how holy it is for men with a woman being virgin. Who was the woman who put her virginity up for auction? And remember, she just
it's been a
had
couple.
all this influx of people want to pay her $1 million.
I have a no virgin
to bust that
policy
nut.
personally. But there was a couple girls who auctioned off their virginity. I have a no virgin policy since high school. If you're a virgin, I'm not fucking with you. And that's not because I think you chaste or pure or anything like that. I just don't want to deal with that shit. I don't want to deal with it in my stomach and thumb, and you give that shit to somebody else. But like I said, I didn't come up with the slut shame shit, so I tend to look for watching me the lollipop, watching me the sucker. Oh yeah, I'm talking to you. You got some skills. You know what I'm saying? That virgin shit, a lot of dudes, man, they really be looking for that. Nah, you can keep that. Just like, T said, like that whole you don't feel like teaching somebody and going through all that. I definitely don't feel like teaching shit. I mean, there's a small scale, but from ground zero, no, I'm good. I'm good. No Build-A-Bears here. We're not doing that.
I don't, getting back to what Tiffany, when she was reading the article, a lot of, let me say this way. I understood my anatomy, the anatomy of my vagina and stuff. But I didn't have my first orgasm until I was maybe 25, 26. And when I had it, it scared the shit out of me because I didn't know what was going on. I wanted to run out the bed. I really did. I was like, I was completely bewildered. I didn't know what was going on. I was trying to be discreetly scared. So how do you be discreetly scared? You know, I was like, okay, it feels good, but what's going on? I had no clue. And later, it made me reflect on some of the conversations that I had with my friends who were already sexually active when I was a virgin.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this must have been what they were talking about, you know, and I was just really lost. And then it was maybe another, some more years went by before I actually had another one. And before I discovered that I was multi-orgasmic. That's why when I was saying earlier in the conversation that there are sensors in those walls. And if you're not making the right contact, if you don't know how to make the right contact, she ain't gonna feel nothing. She'll feel your presence and be glad that you was there. I mean, that's, you know. Well, let's do it again because I like the intimacy that we had. But when it came down actually having an orgasm, that was my first time. And then I had to keep going back to that same person. So in my head, really, even though I wasn't a virgin, he's the one who really made me feel like a woman because I actually had, and it wasn't an orgasm, it was a climax.
Yeah.
And so when it happened, I felt like it just kind of came out the blue. You know, I could feel it mounting, but I was so nervous and scared, you know, that I really, you know, I was trying to come to grips with what was going on with my body at that time. And it was vaginal penetration, and I was completely filled. There was no gaps, and it was just like the porno. When he pulled out, it was stretching right there with him. So it was like, wow, can that happen again? But over time, I mean, for me, it's what you're carrying. Because there was this one cat, bless his heart, poor thing, my Lord.
He was trying, he was putting in the effort.
I didn't even feel insertion.
Damn.
He wouldn't let me turn the lights on.
Oh.
And I was definitely younger. I was maybe 22. But he just, I couldn't even feel him on my lips. How about that?
That's bad. But I did want to drop this, right? Because this is an aspect.
Size does matter.
You know, when it comes to like the orgasm talk, right? This is one thing that I do put on women, and I put the responsibility on women. Partly why a man doesn't understand a woman's orgasm is I don't think women really grasp the concept that we only have one. Like there isn't multiple levels
Are you talking about the climax?
to a dude's
Oh.
nut. So for a dude to even imagine there's different variations of yours is hard to even conceptualize because we only have one. And this is another thing that women really kind of have a hard time understanding. Women can come and climax differently based on emotion too. Being strongly in love with somebody and having an emotional connection with them can take
That's
them
true.
to sexual heights.
That's true.
As a man, whether I hate you, love you, don't know you, known you all my life, that nut that I have is the same consistent. Period.
Okay.
There is and niggas really kind of frown on me when I say this, but I've had them, and I know other dudes have had them. They don't like to admit to it. There is an emotional orgasm that a man has when he's in love. That's purely eternal.
Okay.
Now that's been frightening. Like, oh, what the fuck is that? Because it ain't got shit to do with your dick. But it happens very intensely on the inside. Men don't never talk. I've only had one or two other dudes to even admit, yeah. And even when they admit it, they really don't want to talk about it.
Why is that?
They won't even fucking make eye contact because it makes you feel like a bitch.
Oh,
I
get
hate
out
to use
of
that
here.
word, but it makes you feel like
But Ain't that what you
A
after?
tiny little white girl in a pink dress with a tiara. It makes you feel.
Wait a minute.
bad.
Wait a minute. Isn't that what you're after? What are you?
No,
what are you
men
after?
usually don't try to ever have one of them again.
Wow, that's sad. That is sad.
Imagine the most popular dude in school who's also like the king of homecoming. He's the fucking quarterback. He's got the finest girl. Imagine him breaking down snot crying in front of the whole school. You think he want to do that again? No, it's that vulnerable. Men do not want to return to that.
Listen.
Oh, wait a minute, there's three. Because there's also the prostate. You could probably get 2% of men on the planet to even go there. That is such, I don't give a shit what religion, what culture you come from. The only people who really got freedom with that is white dudes. Nobody else really has any type of freedom with a prostate orgasm at all.
A prostate orgasm. Expound.
Well, a prostate is what controls your ejaculation,
Okay.
but it's in your booty.
Plot twist.
Because it's okay. You know the perineum, right? That stretches skin from the bottom of the balls to the ass, right? That empty space.
Taint.
If you go 2 inches up, that's where the prostate is in the body. But you can't get to it any other way but through the booty, right? The only men I've ever seen that had any type of freedom to explore that really is white dudes.
That sounds like gay sex.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? Because it
Okay.
sounds like gay sex. The only men who has that kind of freedom is white dudes. Because a white woman will peg her dude with a strap on and still look at him as a man. Most other races of women can't even look at their man as a man when they've done anything to their booty. It alters how they look at it. Part of that is like
This
the
is
fear,
so sad.
especially like in the black community, the fear of down low.
That
and
is
all type
sad.
shit. And, you know, all of these things attached to homosexuality and the booty hole.
Oh.
So men have a G-spot. It's a prostate. You can Google it. You can see what the organ looks like. And only about 2% of men on the planet have ever even had that orgasm.
I hope you realize that this is really sad.
Yeah.
This is sad.
It's sad that they're robbed of that, I feel like.
Yeah, it's sad
women
because
rob
it's
you of that.
what are you looking for in your relationship?
But this is the thing.
What is the point? No, wait, hold on. What are you looking for in your relationship?
Who, me? Or
Anybody, men, you, me, or the next
Oh, I
person.
ain't got no problem
What
with that
are
shit.
okay? But
I got over that shit 20 years ago.
The-
You can go knuckle deep. When you blow me, you better hit the second knuckle on that motherfucker.
sex with your
Right? Don't
partner,
play that shit.
sex with your partner is supposed to take you to higher and higher and higher plateaus as you bond with each other. If you cannot be vulnerable with your woman or with your man, what the fuck are you doing in a relationship with her? Period. Point
Word.
blank.
Word.
That is true. That is 100% true. Now you gotta add in all the real life shit. To the fact of
I don't think
when
you can get any
hear
realer
women
than that.
say when you hear women say certain shit, right? I can't tell you how many times I've heard women of all different races, all different age groups, say something gay about a man like anything with his booty. There's millions of fucking comments I've heard and all of that. That makes men go, don't touch me there. What the fuck you doing?
Or you slap the
You know
butt
what
when
I'm
they
saying?
walk by and you're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you doing back there?
Well, see, you know what? In my head, that is absolutely and completely disrespectful of boundaries between those two. First of all, why am I going to take my most intimate times and talk about that with somebody else? Why would I do that? I'm not trying to impress you. This is not your relationship. This is me and his relationship. If I need to take what we're doing in my bedroom to somebody else, girl, you know what he did? Bitch, you are out of line. You are out of line and you are immature and you are trying to get them to be a part of your bedroom banter when that should not even be happening. Now, if you sharing it with your girlfriend because you two have that type of relationship, which I still frown on that because you don't know if she gonna run up and girl, she told me so and so and so and so. Shut the fuck up. Because that has nothing to do with when you went with your girlfriends go buy these pair of shoes and girl, you know what happened last night, girl, and so and so and so. So
Well,
yes,
people
it may be
share
a braggable. No.
People don't.
I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying no, that to where you don't need to be sharing that. That needs to be between you and your man and you and your woman. That's precious. And it's something that should be regarded like gold.
Okay.
You
so-
don't just go run and tell everybody,
I'ma
girl,
say
I got
this.
500,000 bouillon cubes in my bathroom. You don't share shit like that.
So, okay, let's step out of like the structured, stereotypical monogamous relationship, right? When I'm in a polycule,
Stop. What is that?
it's me and other people in
Okay.
one relationship, right?
Okay.
Or if I'm in a triad or however the relationship
Okay.
is, yeah, we discuss intimacy. We may not all be partners with one another. Like my girlfriend, me and her may share a relationship with a woman, but I may not share the relation. I'm straight, so her second boyfriend or her primary, I'm not sharing an intimate relationship with him, right? I may have a primary or a secondary that I don't share with her, but me and whatever. So we do discuss things. I've had certain friendships in my life where we've discussed things in confidence, right? And through all of that, because like the main point was why men aren't open to certain things. Even if you're a woman, and we've all seen this, and I speak especially for like the black community. I can't tell you how many times in real life, movies, or whatever, I've seen the whole, or heard the whole testing. See if he on the down low. Like, I've known women to like,
I've heard that too.
try to play with a dude booty hole to see if he's okay with it, because if he's okay with it, that means he get. It's all of those things that
Wow.
makes a man afraid to open up and try certain things. Just like there are certain things that women hear and that filter through women that make them not want to open up out of fear of being judged or whatever. Men have the same thing.
Yeah.
I've had talks with younger dudes to try to get them past that, because I got over a lot of that shit 20 plus years ago. I don't give a fuck what I like. I like it. I ain't ashamed of it. If you don't like it, we're not partners. That's
But see,
You know what
that
I'm saying?
that's
Like-
maturity though.
But what it is to try to, when I'm talking to younger dudes, you know, in private and confidence, and trying to get them to understand, like, this is something you're robbing yourself from. Not necessarily like the prostate thing, but just exploring different things, trying different things. Like, you're robbing yourself. You're fucking your woman like you're on a football field displayed for every other man to see. You robbing
Right.
you and you robbing her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're never really gonna hit a fucking touchdown. Like, you're not gonna make a touchdown doing that. But it's very hard to get men. It's very hard to erase your mind of everything that you hear in music and on TV and movies and religion and culture. Like, it's very hard to erase all that shit and then come from ground zero and build your own shit. I think that's one of the benefits that some of the younger generations do have, like under 25. It's less cultural and less religious shit on them than it was the generations past. Even in America, even on
Definitely.
some generic American shit, the 60s and the 50s were still hardwired, husband, wife, 2.5 kids, white picket fence. This is what the dream is. Anything outside of this, something wrong with you. You know what I mean? Like, even a lot of like,
yeah.
even when we had the sexual revolution in like the 60s going into the 70s, I wasn't alive then, but watching and reading and studying it because it wasn't that far behind me.
Right.
All of those flower children who were having orgies and doing all of this shit on acid or whatever are now fucking staunch Republicans and conservatives and have let that shit go. You know what I'm saying? So now you have these millennials and younger that they don't have as many
Stigmas.
constraints. They can just go, oh, I want this, and then the world more caters to what the fuck they want. Then before our generations was no, this is the line of society, and you fucking toe it. Their generation now, it's not about society. It's all about you and what you want. If you have a penis and a vagina in your mind, and you're fluid, and you want to fuck a million people, and you want to suck dick in the park in public, and you want to wear combat boots and a skirt, and all of these things. Nobody's.
You're making me see Will Smith's son.
He's a prime example. Like the world more caters to.
And I'm not
him
trying to
being
tease
expressive
him, or
and free.
it's just the
No,
image that came to my
I'm
head.
just stating
Yeah.
what kind of culture they live in now versus then. They are more able to be free because don't nobody want to go against the shit than previously. Because previously, everybody would go, man, what the fuck is you doing? Like your job, your church, your family, your friends, people would disown you. What? You're doing what? You think you're a what? Society was not with that. People would tell you, look, it ain't about what the fuck you want to do. This is what we do. You do what the fuck we do, or you go the fuck away somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
now they could just be like, I'm a mermaid, I'm a fucking unicorn, and people go, that's valid.
Some of them are, and some of them are not. But I get your point.
No, I mean just society
I
in general.
understand.
Really,
Yeah.
that's valid. Like, there's no question of, hey, you probably might have some mental health issues. Like you think you're a goat. You may need to put you in therapy for a while. Now you can be transracial, transgender, trans-species, all of these different things. And as a society, we
Lost
go,
in translation.
that's valid. It's cool. And they just have more freedom. Now, what the fuck they gonna do with that freedom? That's yet to be seen. Because when you give young people freedom, they usually run into a fucking wall with it. These people are gonna be constructing government and society in a minute. They're gonna be the adults. Can you step about your side? Can you step outside yourself and your own wants to keep a cohesive society?
But see, those are components that I see that is missing
What?
out of home life. I think, okay, how do I say this? I don't know how to say this. Go ahead. I have to run this
Y'all got
through my
anything to say? 'Cause
thoughts.
y'all been
Yeah.
so quiet.
Quiet. Yeah.
I've been thinking. I was gonna mention earlier. I feel like what you were saying about the what's in the butthole again?
Prostate.
Prostate. Yes, prostate. I knew it started with a P.
Oh, one thing before that, and that's why men die of prostate cancer the highest because they don't want to even go get a fucking prostate
That
exam.
is facts.
ahead.
That is facts.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say there's still so much lack of knowledge. Like I feel like just on like a basic, I feel like this is taughtable. Like the pleasure centers, I feel like that's teachable in a school, at least to like the seniors in our high school. Because I had to take 2 health classes, one when I was a freshman and then one when I was a junior. And I feel like it's teachable if you just keep it like mad professional. Like you don't need to go into
Right.
the specifics.
Right.
And just imagine how much of a conversation that would just open up, since you were saying how nobody, like
Teenage
people aren't
boys in
scared
the
of talking about
conversation.
their butt. They don't want to let other girls touch their butt because of the backlash. Like I feel like that would just open doors.
But see, and I completely agree with you. But see, we're as a society as a whole, I feel like America is still growing.
Yeah, they're
We're
not
still
ready.
growing up.
They're not ready for
Still
that.
maturing, and that's why millennials do not have sexual taboos, stigmas are going on in their head. They're free. Whereas me as a child, I was born in the 60s and my childhood was in the 70s. Even though that there was a revolt, people burning bras, I don't wear my bra anymore, and all of this kind of shit, it was
Happening
still,
right now.
there were still sexual taboos. You don't do this, girl, you don't let him do that, you don't do that, and all of this different stuff. But see, one freedom that I was able to incorporate, even being a practicing Christian at that time, and it was based upon the scripture that marriage is pure and all, or something. I can't even, I have it in my head. I can't even say it the way I want to. And the bed is pure and undefiled. That meant to me, when I close my bedroom door, me and my husband do whatever the fuck we want to do, and it ain't nobody else's business. I'm not going to tell my pastor, and that's what I would see women running. But pastor, he said he want to do this. Why are you telling your pastor that? Because now he's got this visual in his head. He got a hard dick, and he's trying to hide it behind his desk. Why would you do that? It's a violation. It's a violation. But I feel like if like Monique said on Queens of Comedy, nigga, I hear you coming. If he wants your ear, give him your ear if you're comfortable with that. But if the two of you are discussing what you want, and one says, but babe, I'm a little nervous about doing that, then you should be able to respect each other's boundaries and say, okay, I'm not going to force this on you. I'm just going to back off of it and leave it alone. You need to be able to be free to be vulnerable with your mate, your spouse, whoever this is.
I always say outsource that. What you don't want to do, just outsource that work to somebody else. That's my motto.
And see, I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to have to do that. I want to feel safe with whoever it is that I am with. God damn it! If I want to give you my armpit because it makes me feel great, what are we doing this for? We're doing this because we love each other, and we're very vulnerable with each other. And it's not about violating each other. This is a time of softness and all of that. It's just, it makes sense to me. Daddy would say, baby, I want you to take your finger and why not?
What?
Why not?
Why not
If
what?
he says, baby, I want you to take your middle finger and stick it up my ass and ring it around a couple of times and then pull it out. If he asks me to do that, because it's something that he like, first of all, I'm not going to say, you gay. If he was gay, he wouldn't be laying in bed with your
But
ass.
a lot of
Boom.
women still believe that, though. A lot of women
Why?
believe
Because there's a lot of creeping.
But
There's
that's
a
the
lot
whole-
of creeping.
That's what I was saying. A lot of women believe that men want booty shit because they're hiding the fact that they're gay. Men know that, so they don't even go there. You know what I'm saying? Because I've had it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'll get the Lambo doze on the chick in a minute. Yo, check this out. Take that tongue down there. Like, which way you want me to lay? Because I want my salad toss and all that shit. Are you gay? No. Man,
If you gay,
you like how I toss your salad? It feels the same way for me.
it's like if he's gay, why is he laying in the bed with you? And if he is gay and he's hiding that shit, that's his issues. And eventually, believe me, it's gonna come out whether you're having heterosexual or booty anal sex. It's gonna come out.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let Penelope get her words out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Does it look like
Well,
she has something?
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the whole
please.
time I've been thinking, like you're saying that, like it's women thinking that men are gay if they like to do stuff like relating to anal or whatever. But like, do you think like it's from just your experience that makes you think that way, or like how would you know that it's
Well,
like
no, in
the
black
majority of
community,
women?
There's culturally, there's been such a big thing with like the down low and the
Yeah.
AIDS epidemic and shit. Like it is really pervasive in the black community.
Yeah.
And if you watch like black comedy specials, all black movies, and TV shows and
Millie
shit, it'll come
Camacho.
out like you'll hear it.
Yeah.
You'll hear black women like it's just so much in the culture. Like you hear that shit.
Yeah.
And then too, like like growing up, dudes who are gay. Like it.
Yeah.
And you watch them fake it, and you watch them get a wife, and you watch them have kids, kids, and then that shit blow up later, or they get caught. Like it's, especially regionally, like Atlanta and down south, that shit is really big. So I think it's more of a fear on a black woman's part on
Yeah.
is the man that I'm in love with, am I his beard? Is he for real with me?
Yeah.
So when things like that come up, it prompts those questions in the community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To where the white dudes I've grown up around and I know as, you know, a teenager and as an adult, they got a whole different freedom with ass play
Yeah.
that I don't think a lot of cultures are able to have. You know what I'm saying? Because, like you're Asian, I don't know if you've ever heard a black woman say, "Oh, you better go get a white woman to go do that shit." Like black dudes, we've heard that shit since we were young.
Really?
Because they were in the black community. There are things that are donated to white women and are off limits to black women, and black women would tell like anal sex. Black women have just recently started coming out of, oh yeah, we like that. All before that, a black woman to tell you, oh, you better go get a white girl for that shit in a heartbeat. I've heard that shit like 40, 50 times in my own life.
Yeah.
Oh, you better go get a white bitch. I ain't doing that. Don't touch my booty. Don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so those things are pretty big in the
Wait,
community, and that's what you do. You go get a white chick and you go, oh, this booty shit is kind of fantastic.
That shit hurt. Maybe that's why she said you better go get a wife, because she trying to get away from that pain. That shit hurt. Did you see Queens of Comedy when Monique was saying, "Okay, just relax all your muscles and just breathe."
I mean,
That shit hurt.
for some women, it's a thing. For some women, it ain't. They've tried it. They don't like it. They always feel like they got a shit. So, I mean, it is a personal thing, but I'm just saying there is a stigma around that. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like this is like just from my personal experience, like, and I don't know, I have like a very different scope, I guess, being like Asian and like, I don't know, yeah, I'm like not that sexual, but from my experience, I feel like with men, like, it's not like the fear of judgment from women, it's like the fear of judgment from their own friends, like the fear of not looking masculine, I guess. So that's like the way I've always seen it. So when you say it's women preventing men from having these orgasms, I've always seen it as men being scared of not being seen as masculine in front of their own friends, I guess.
That too, but most men have went through something like watching your woman change how she sees you,
Yeah.
right? And that is a fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a girlfriend where I cried in front of her. She never looked at me the same.
Oh, she was, wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
regardless of how
it's ridiculous.
uneducated it is or
It's
whatever,
ridiculous.
there are stigmas so much around masculinity, what that looks like. Even my dad, he was like, he always told me, yeah, men cry, but we cry alone. You don't let your family see you cry. You're the pillar of strength. When you break, they break. You need to cry, you take your fucking ass. And I've done it with my own children. I go in that fucking bathroom, I cut that goddamn shower on, I sit on the edge of that tub, and I cry. But I make sure that my goddamn kids don't hear me.
Yeah.
Because if something's going on, and I've cried in front of them, and I've watched them, like, get scared, like, oh, whatever's going on.
Dad's losing it.
serious. Well, not really that I'm losing it, but like something happens, and as long as I appear strong, they feel comfort in that. If they see me break, you know, it's this, oh shit, what the fuck is gonna happen? Like, daddy is the protector, and he just broke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but that's different than, I feel like crying in front of your kids and then crying in front of your partner is like two different things. Because
Yeah.
I can,
you know how many times I've heard a woman say, man, you cry like a little bitch.
but that
that's
is
not
wrong
all
of
women,
them. That is
yeah.
wrong.
I'm not saying
Absolutely.
it's right. I'm saying it
Absolutely.
happens.
Yeah, and I feel like I agree with you on what you say about crying in front of your kids, because I can think back to when I was a kid. Seeing my mother cry was like
Yeah.
very confusing
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Like, I felt
Yeah.
scared. I started to cry. I feel like that's different than crying in front of your partner. You can't say that after you were done crying, you didn't feel better.
And
You feel so much better. It's just, I feel
Yeah,
like
you
crying,
feel relieved.
Yeah, it's just an expression of emotions. It's you letting it out. I don't feel like there should be. There is, but I don't feel like there should be any stigma around crying. Like
well,
that should.
let me tell you this, because all three of you finna be pissed off when I say this. Let me tell you just how much true pieces of shit women are.
What?
Whatever the fuck you open up to them about, nigga, in the heat of that argument, that shit comes out. And it comes out in front of people and all of that type shit. I can't tell. Thousands of situations where I heard a woman say,
No.
that's why I fucked you in the ass, or that's why this, or that's
Oh
why
my
that.
God.
And women do that shit.
So
Not
There's-
all of
and
us.
Those are the point. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying if I see 50 women do something,
Yeah.
I mean, I
that's gonna
understand.
definitely critique
Yeah.
my behavior.
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Especially if I've gotten into an argument, and every man knows how far his woman will go in an argument. You know when your woman will blast your shit out and be like, "Oh, nigga, that's why blah 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 blah."
Right in front of the home.
You know what I'm saying? In
That-
front of every fucking body. Those are, it's just like a woman going out on a date, right? There are certain fears that women have because, yeah, not all men are rapists, not all men get physical.
Yeah.
But because there is a chance, when you go out on a date, you text your homegirl where you're going. You make a point of contact. You do some things to keep you safe because you're going out on the first date with this fucking dude and you don't know him. Men have the same thing. Like, you watch this shit happen. You watch it happen on movies. You watch it happen in real life. You hear the
So
shit in music.
sad.
So you go,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not putting myself in that position.
But
And
then,
you just don't
like,
do it.
if you continue doing that, like if you think that way, like, you're never gonna be emotionally vulnerable ever again just because of your past experiences. Like, just because men have raped women before doesn't mean I'm never gonna go on a date with a guy ever again.
Right.
But human beings, we construct our psychology around safety.
Yeah.
When something traumatic happens to you, you instinctually try to guard yourself against
Right.
that. That's why I tell people therapy is the utmost, and go to therapy
Yeah.
whether shit is broken or not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I don't think people should start going to therapy when some traumas happen.
Mm-hmm.
You should just be going to therapy regularly.
Yeah.
But having those avenues and shit is important because there are so many different, and especially like the whole interracial shit. That's not forever. That's some new shit. You going into other people's cultures. You're doing shit. I remember the first time I fucked with an Eskimo chick. I didn't know certain shit in their culture was just like off limits, or like when I messed with an Indian chick. You know, there are so many things that happen, and you just always are trying to play it safe. You know what I'm saying? And men, we know one thing: when your family or your community or whatever loses their view of your masculinity, that's not something you get back.
If you this is
A woman can't lose her femininity.
Yes, you can.
I don't give a shit how masculine she is. She can be a buff ass bodybuilder. If she does something feminine, you didn't lose it. They're like, people may look at you and go, "Oh, you buff like a dude" or whatever. But all she got to do is do a prissy voice, put something pink on or
No,
whatever.
but
You can lose your masculinity and you'll never get that back.
But
That shit don't come
think
back.
of all the fucked up shit that they have said about Serena Williams.
Oh my God.
Okay, with her, right?
Like, think about that. Like,
That comes from really one particular group. Because you can't put 100 black men together to get even 90 of them to say the shit that the white dudes will. You just won't. You get white men.
you mean
to
like good things or bad things?
Like, you know, all of these white reporters and shit, oh, she looked like a man and did it. All the shit that they used to say about Michelle Obama and all that. That's a very white male perspective.
What were they
Very
saying
few.
about Michelle Obama?
She looked like a man. She too
Get the
muscular.
fuck
she looked
outta
like an
here.
ape. All of that
I
shit,
heard about that
right?
shit.
But you can't get people of color to say those same things. You can get a small population. There may be a couple black dudes who be like, "Oh, Serena look like a man," but the majority of black dudes is like, "Man, I will take that. Let Serena roll up on me. I'm gonna take that shit down."
In the words of Cedric the Entertainer, he said, she's precious. Did you see that? Woo! We did all of that
Well,
because white men and black men have, well, some of them. I hate doing wide, broad, sweeping stereotypes. I really hate saying stuff like that. But for the majority of them, black men like women with a whole lot of ass.
yeah.
Some white men like women with a whole lot of ass, but most of the time they like women who got curves, but not so much. And see what that does for me, I ain't got no whole lot of ass. I ain't got a whole bunch of ass back there. But because I didn't, that put me at such a disadvantage for a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time. But I was always able to find, or not find. Because I know I'm not ugly. And because I'm attractive in that area, I'm not asshole about it and walk around, like, no, I don't do that. But it gave me my corner.
Yeah.
Where the ladies with the big thighs and the wide hips and the big old breasts and was voluptuous and walking around and all that, I had to find my confidence
But let me
in
tell
other
you a
different
secret.
things.
Let me tell you
What?
a secret. Even all of the black men who love big ass, that's not really what you envision as your wife. That's what you envision as a good time and who you want to fuck, who you want to smash, who you want to be, take around the homies or be in a club with. But when you think about getting married and having kids, that's not the image you have in your mind.
But that's still, then why are so many of them marrying these women with all these with the big old hook in the back?
It depends on what group you looking at.
What do you mean by that?
Like, the average working class black dude ain't really seeking that. Like, he'll seek to smash that, but he's not seeking to wife that. And then you got more on the celebrity status, rappers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's a temporary thing for them. That's still not I'm gonna spend my whole life with you. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's why Black China's had 50 public relationships in the last 3 years. I even teach my kids this. There is a good time, part-time, and a lifetime. And you have to know where she fit in your life. You can't make a good time a lifetime. You can't make a part-time a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That jump off, that's a jump off, and you leave it there. That relationship will probably be good for a couple years, and then you'll both grow together and kind of drift and go. That's cool too. And then that woman that's a lifetime, you need to know what she looks like, because when you come to her, you need to know how to handle that correctly from the gate. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I get it.
Women have more of the one concept pushed on them. The Prince Charming, find that one guy, that true love, where men is like, oh son, you should have left her last night. Like, you should have left her where you found her. You know what I mean? That ain't wifey material, man. You know what I mean? We're given at least that freedom to know, okay, you can play with her. Don't marry her.
That's terrible. I get your point. But that's it's still terrible.
Yeah,
Because she wants to be married too with all that ass in the back.
Yeah.
She still want to be married.
All right, we're going to wrap this episode up.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for listening.
Had fun.
Tune in next time, because we're just going to continue. And we have some other topics to talk about. So thank you for your time and attention. And we'll catch you next time.
Good night.
See y'all.
See y'all.
Thank you for listening. And if you like this show and you want to help us grow, please like, subscribe, and share this podcast or just an episode that you like the most. And also leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean, or wherever you catch us. If you would like to make a donation to the show, please go to our page at hklogic.podbean.com and become a patron of the show. If you would like to contact us, you can email us at hardknocklogic@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 510-255-4546. Again, that's 510-255-4546. 4546. And you can always catch all of our content on this network at hklogic.podbean.com. Hope you come back. Hope you give us another listen. Peace.